I'm not listening to Alvetta at all today. I am not looking at her. You are ghost to me.
You're tuned in to the Profit and Growth Hour here on WDRBmedia,
the voice of the community.
I am Dr. Business.
And your one and only right here, Lady Guns. That is greatness under no stipulation.
Family, we are so glad that you have tuned in, retuned in, have come back to tune in to be a part of all the wonderful things that we have in store for you on today.
Yes.
What wonderful things do we have in store? Lady Guns.
You got that voice
because
going
it draws
on.
in all the women and stuff. You know, I'm trying to
They
increase the
cooking
listenership. And, you
soccer
know,
games.
You know, the women are like, ooh, I'm going to listen to him. Because I got the Barry White voice. And yes, this is my radio voice.
After
and
dark type of
yes,
voice.
Tune in to the Profit and Growth After Hour, where we will play all of your wonderful hits.
You was finna say something you wasn't supposed to say. You caught yourself. I'm like, wait, my pastor might be tuned in. We'll be playing the Walter Hawkins, the Shirley Caesars, the Tremaine Hawkins.
Yes.
And we will not leave out the Clark sisters.
That's right.
Hallelujah.
And then we'll end with the 5 blind boys
Of Mississippi.
Alabama.
Oh,
Alabama.
I know they got 5 blind people in Mississippi.
Okay.
I know you can find them. They somewhere.
We got Y.A.M.S in the house.
Yams. Oh, yams.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh,
feeling
okay. I'm sorry.
This is not the
I was
voice.
Getting hungry. Okay.
Thirsty.
Hungry. Anyway, Y.A.M.S.
Yes.
What does Y.A.M.S stand for again?
Y.A.M stands for You Are a Molestation Survivor.
And that's what you are.
That's what I am. Yes. I like to refer
Why
to.
are you admitting this?
You said why?
Mm-hmm.
Because I have to own it. Like, it's my story. It's my truth. I have to put that stamp on it because for years I have been a victim. But being a victim, it puts you in a dark place. And I no longer want to be in the dark place. So I'm owning it like I am a survivor.
Because, you know, what Mama and them used to say or whatever, what stays in the house, you know,
Stays in
what
the
happens in the
house.
house
Yeah.
stays in the house type thing.
Yep.
You ain't tell nobody, don't, whatever. It stays between these 4 walls. Nobody need to know our business,
Yep.
yada, 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 yada.
And that's like the average African-American household. But you have to think about the child at the end of the day. By you allowing them to hold that in, what are you really creating? Exactly. Like, what are you're hindering that person from, one, being able to express themselves completely and be honest about the things that they've been through. And it's like, if you have a traumatic experience, why hold it in?
Or teaching them not to be a snitch.
I mean, that can go,
Right?
you know, many ways.
Exactly.
So I get what
So,
you're saying,
you know,
but
somebody
as
out there, I'm
for-
sure, is thinking that.
true. But as for self, it's better out than in. Like
Right.
for self, because at the end of the day, you are what's important. I am what's important.
Right.
So, like, I have to speak my truth. I have to.
And I think when you hold things that anything traumatic in and you don't share it, it diminishes your ability to trust. Even those that are there, like the entire world is not out to
Yes.
get you, the entire world. But when you're not given that freedom and liberty to speak your truth or to share your viewpoints or your opinions, then you miss out on the blessings and opportunities because you don't trust
Right.
anybody. Your
Right.
trust is diminished, is taken away from you. And I also think that it becomes a place where it can lead in 2 different directions: an extreme life of turmoil because of poor decision making,
Yeah.
because something bottled up in you has you in a ravaging state, you know, a
Yes.
savage state where it's harmful to you and others around you. Or like you said, it could pull you into a deep, dark hermit stage,
Yeah.
you know, extremely introverted and sheltered, where you you're not dependent on anybody, but you're not getting help from anybody
Right.
at the same time.
Yeah,
So.
and that just sums up my complete life.
Oh, sorry. Hey.
That sums it up, because like at times I was ashamed, and I was ashamed because it was my father, my biological father, the one I trusted, the only man that I knew, the only man.
No brothers.
And like no, well, I did have brothers, younger brothers. I was the oldest, but it's just like, for that first person that is supposed to show you love and protect you from the world and teach you, it was this very same person that I needed protection from. And like that whole emotional side of it, like it messes with you mentally and emotionally, and especially when it's coming from someone who you admired and looked up to and loved.
Right.
So it's a hard thing to live with, knowing, but I have to keep going. Like,
and I imagine for you it was even harder because this is also someone that you're dependent upon, and your mother was probably placed in that position where if I break the silence, then what does that mean for me and the other kids? A lot of families, I do some counseling, and what I've discovered, those that are in an abusive, whether it be emotional, mental, physical, sexual relationship, everybody's like, why are you still there? Well, it's not just that person, but there's probably 3 or 4 other little people behind them. They didn't mean to get themselves into the situation that they're in, but I discovered that they have gotten themselves into that situation, but they stopped living.
Yeah.
So this is my sole provider. This is my support system right here. And although what I'm going through is contrary to, and it causes an adverse effect on the rest of the family, it's better than being homeless. It's better than being without or what have you.
So what is the game plan? How do you get out when something like that is happening? What do you do? Who do you tell? What's the next steps?
Honestly, I'm still figuring all that out. I'm still in my letting go stage. I'm still in my healing and prosperity stage. So I don't have those answers, but I'm out here trying to do the best that I can, praying, making sure my faith stays high within God, and I look to Him for all my directions. So anything that I want, I pray for it, and He provides it for me. So,
and I think at the end of the day, a lot of times we put our hope in man instead of putting our hope in God.
Yeah, and that's
He's
where
our
we
creator,
fail.
and He's the one that knows us better than anybody else.
Yeah.
He knows every little hair that's on the top of our head. He
Yes,
has
He
named them one
does.
by one. So having a relationship with Christ, I believe, to be the first step in a person's healing process. And what I have found is that when you surround yourself with a community of faith, you'll come across other like-minded individuals that want your best interest at heart. So getting saved, being saved, is step one for someone like me. And then finding myself in a community of faith where I have loving pastors and leaders that are able to embrace me, older people that I could sit at their feet and they can teach and give me advice and counsel, because there's safety in a multitude of counsel.
Right.
And then usually through that multitude of counsel, that safety, there's a direction that the group will recommend and suggest, which typically leads into one-on-one counseling with someone that's able to walk you through that grieving process, so to speak, because there is a process.
Yeah,
So
it
an
is.
incident, something happens, something traumatic happens in one's life, but then there are certain processes and stages that you have to go through in order to find yourself on the other side.
Right.
And then at the end of the day, you have to somewhere in all of that be able to forgive. Because if you don't forgive, then that thing continues to hold you hostage and bondage, and you can't move forward. You can't look forward because you're continuously looking back. Not that you need to necessarily forget it, but it is something that you do need to put under your feet.
Right.
In subjection, and not have it control you, but you control it.
Right.
Yep.
And then take that and use that as fuel to be able to pour into the lives of other people,
Right.
to help strengthen them and encourage them. so that if they're going through a similar situation, they know that there is help on the other side.
Right. Yeah. Let it be the foundation that you build a strong success story on top of, and not gravel that you're constantly falling, falling through and sinking into.
Because a lot of times people like misery loves company. So
Very
we like to
true.
have our pity parties and the woe is me.
Right.
And we try to surround ourselves with other people that will buy into that.
Right.
When that
That
does
will
not
feed that.
get you out of the situation, it doesn't change
Just
it for
enable
you.
it.
Exactly.
Right.
So now you have a woe is me party
Club.
every weekend. Just like was it Alfalfa and them Darla, the He-Man Haters Club or something.
Oh,
whatever.
Yeah.
Where you get a group of
Women
women
is
together
that-
and they
yeah.
just
Right.
male bashing and stuff.
No,
and
that was
he ain't no
that was
good, and
Alfalfa. Them. They
Yeah.
were the
the ones that
He-Man Woman Haters Club.
Yeah.
okay, so
They bashed women.
so they
Yeah.
bash women.
Yeah.
Okay.
They
so
didn't let
it happens both ways.
Yeah.
It does.
But you don't want to find yourself in that type of club.
Right.
Where now everybody fits this particular mold and nobody can ever do good and you can't move forward because then you start to have children and things of that nature.
Then
and
you'll
it
feed that
starts.
on.
Exactly.
Onto them. Y.A.M.S, who are people that you, as you are now accepting, as you say, you've put a stamp on it and you're coming out stronger. We know that your faith in God has increased. Who are some of the people that you have intentionally surrounded yourself by? I would imagine your pastor or your church leaders, who are some others? And I ask that question because there are those that feel like, but this is my best friend. She's been with me forever. She was with me in it, but she may also be feeding that instead of getting you there. So when coming out of a traumatic episode, tell our listeners who are some of the people that you would advise that they link themselves to intentionally to become overcomers and not remain.
I would say number one, your pastor, because that they are that higher guidance between you and God, and they know more about God and more about the Bible. So I would say link up with your pastor first and foremost, and just really just get more in tune with God. If you just sit and meditate on the word and pray, it'll bring you through some hard times, because without prayer and without God, I don't know where I'd be. Honestly, I don't.
But you're here.
Yes.
And you're a survivor.
Yes, I am.
And if you keep walking, you will find yourself out of the storm at some point in time. And I think a lot of times people like to throw in the towel. People like to contemplate suicide. People like to think that it's only them.
And I have. There's so many times growing up as a child, like I was angry. I was angry at my father for what he had done to me, and I was also angry at my mother because it was just her raising us. None of our fathers were around, especially not my father, after what he had done. And like the frustration and the struggles that she went through, she took it out on us. So it made it even harder for me as a child to, not only am I trying to grow from one thing, but I'm still stuck in this situation and I have something else I have to overcome. So like growing up, it was just a constant, like I told you earlier, every day is a battle for me because I've been through so much and I've had to overcome so much, and I'm still doing that to this day. So
Wow.
It's emotional talking about it, but I'm not gonna cry. I'm gonna
But you're
smile.
strong. But you know that God bottles every tear that we shed because we mean that much to him. And I remember once I was talking to somebody about the different trials and tribulations that we go through, and I remember because I think we all at some level have a testimony, and I just remember the Spirit speaking to me and saying, you were built for this.
Yeah.
Like it is a part of your genetic makeup, not to bring you down, but your strength and your survival is what it will be. That is the voice that will captivate the people that I have set aside for you to minister to. There are some little girls and boys out there that I can talk to, but you can minister to.
Right.
And that's the difference. The ministry in serving and helping them be able to accomplish and overcome. So the weight of it is heavy. But that's because the reward is great.
Right.
And it's not just a personal, obtainable, tangible here on earth reward, but the many children and women and men and others that will overcome because of your bravery and your tenacity
Yeah.
to continue on in spite of.
Yeah.
It's like, devil, I know what you did, but watch.
Watch.
When it says
Yeah.
all things work together for the good, the lives that will be impacted, the doctors that will come forth, the lawyers, the trade workers, the skills, the songs that will be written.
Yes.
All not because you're going to do it all, but because of your ministry and because of your voice,
Right.
because of what you will say that will turn a light, have someone have a light bulb moment to lift up their shades in their room, turn off the Black Album, put on some bright clothes and wipe the deep dark eyeliner.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're gothic, but just in that dark place and be like, you know what? Doggone it. I don't want to live like this. I don't want to be held captive by that.
And that's where you play Kurt Franklin's Smile.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I hurt you,
I smile.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you have to, as I guess the world say, fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
And not that you are discounting or covering up, but sometimes you have to put yourself in a certain state of mind,
Right.
certain state of being. And if you find yourself in that place long enough, then on the inside it will start to manifest itself.
Right.
And sometimes people downplay that, but in order for you to go where you've never gone before, you have to do some things you've never done before.
Exactly.
And if that means in spite of, we have to work. Man don't
Right.
work, man don't eat.
Yeah.
So yeah, we may not feel like working today,
Right.
but guess what? You get up, you brush your teeth, you do what you got to do, you wipe
Please
the
brush
little
your teeth.
eye crumbs out your eyeballs,
Eye
get the
boogers.
boogers out
Yeah.
your
Eye
nose,
boogers.
and the drool down the side of your
Oh,
mouth.
yeah,
They
after
don't
done
want
crusted
to show up.
up.
Unless you just don't want to
Exactly.
be bothered that day. Leave it all
Yeah,
on.
just leave it all on.
Yeah.
Throw a little sprinkle on it.
Stop. No. I like to call that, I don't like the term fake it till you make it, because for me, it identifies that when the lights go off, you go back.
Right.
But practice better.
Right.
Practicing for better. When you're in a football game, you go to practice every day. I just joined. I'm new to the team. I got to learn the scrimmage. I got to learn the moves. I got a coach that's going to teach me. I have people alongside me that are my defense, my offense, my whatever. I sound like I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
football.
you do. You sound like. Let me find out you done coached some football back.
But the practice piece, you show up until it's game time.
Yeah.
I'm brand new. I may start off in little league, but practice, fake it till you make it. For me, like I said, it shows I'm here, but then there's a curtain call.
Right.
And then lights are out and I go back to that dark place. But practice, when I went to practice, I learned something new for the day and I was able to take something with me. And pretty much your coaches, whatever sport it is, gives you not only practical pieces for game day, but for life. They pretty much show you how to play well with others, how to own responsibility, take ownership for your team, for your position as a linebacker. If that do get through, hey, you were offsides or whatever.
But
I'm
you
trying to
can,
impress.
but you can still fake in perpetuity until you're able to reach that destined end.
Right.
If you want to become a millionaire, you start acting like a millionaire today. Does that mean go out and buy you a Maserati?
Nope.
No.
But
You get that millionaire mindset.
thriftiness, the savings, the knowledge, the skill sets, the being able to deal with certain people, certain types of ways. And if you do that long enough,
Right.
consistently, day in and day out, eventually you will reach that mark.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the same thing. I mean, I agree. If I want to be a millionaire, I'm not going to align myself with people at the Social Security office waiting on food stamps. I'm going to align myself with those that they may not be millionaires already, but I have observed them and I see that they're investors. I see that they're not running out every weekend, buying the latest sneaker or what have you. So just understanding the mindset. What does it look like to get there?
Right.
And
And
get
then
into
sometimes
that place.
you may need that Social Security line moment
Yeah.
wake-up
Where you go and you see those
It's a wake-up
people,
call.
Yeah.
And it's
a
like,
wake-up.
remind you,
Yeah.
right?
that
I don't want to be
motivation.
that person.
Right,
Yeah.
right, right.
I don't want to be in that line.
But I'm talking about learning. I'm talking about
Right.
learning from them, though. You're not going to be able to teach me what I need. So,
Right.
But they can teach me what not to do.
yeah, right.
So what you
Very
do?
true.
I have 50 babies, and I'm 18 years old, and
Oh, Lord.
you know,
And in the
yeah.
Guinness World Book of Records, you need
Yeah.
a check. You need all of that.
It's like, okay, I won't do that. So what did you do?
Right.
So you find out what people did, and you do just the opposite.
Yeah.
So depending upon who you surround yourself with, it can work in your favor. You just have to know how to flip it and twist it and turn it so that it does.
Right.
How can people get in contact with you if they're looking for someone that might be able to give them advice and counsel and to be able to talk to with regards to molestation and other tragedies that they might have endured and faced?
Okay. Well, if anyone would like to, contact me directly, I am on Facebook. My name is Tania Lindsay, TEHANEA LINDSAY. I'm also on Snapchat and Instagram. My Snapchat is at Royal RHOYAL_warrior, because I'm a fighter, and WARRIOR. And I'm also on Instagram at MS_TEELASHAE.
Got all of that.
And how did you spell royal?
So it's RHO because I played Sigma Gamma Rho
Oh.
in college. So yeah, so Royal Warrior.
Okay. I'm glad you clarified that.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm over here thinking.
My kids in the
Right,
spelling.
right. How
Kids
come,
in the
like, that's
spelling
not
bee
how you
like,
spell
what's
royal?
right.
But yeah, so
Did we not have her go through the literacy
Right.
test before she came onto the show? And,
No.
Turn
the literacy test.
But keep surviving. Keep
Yes.
moving forward.
I plan to.
Keep speaking
I plan
life
to.
into other people. You deserve it for yourself.
Yeah.
And they deserve to hear from you.
Absolutely.
All right.
Family, you're tuned in to the Profit and Growth Hour here on WDRB Media.
The
The
voice of the community. Very good.